Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're exploring a really pivotal moment, something quite profound, actually. We've talked about the Buddha reaching enlightenment, those 49 days of reflection afterwards. But then, well, things get complicated. Because he didn't just jump up and start teaching. There was this hesitation.
That's right. It's quite striking. You know, you'd imagine someone who's just discovered the ultimate truth, the path to liberation, would be, well, eager to share it. But he paused. He actually questioned whether anyone else could possibly understand the Dhamma, this profound truth he'd realized. It was that subtle, that deep.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? Finding the most important thing imaginable, but then worrying it's incomprehensible. It really highlights a core challenge, maybe even for leaders today, having a deep insight, but struggling with how to convey it. So that's our mission in this deep dive. Figure out why he hesitated and what finally made him decide to teach.
Okay, so let's start there. What was it about the Dhamma itself, the nature of this truth, that felt so unteachable? Well, the descriptions from the text are pretty revealing. It's described as deep, subtle, hard to see, hard to understand. It's not something that works with our usual way of thinking, our everyday logic or language. We're talking concepts like dependent origination, that whole intricate web of cause and effect.
Yeah, or how everything is interconnected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nirvana, this state beyond suffering, beyond conditions. And maybe most challenging, anatta, this idea of not self, that there isn't a permanent fixed you inside. These things fly right in the face of how we usually experience reality.
So it's much more than just like learning some new facts. It sounds like it demands a fundamental shift in how you perceive everything. Our sources really stress that it needs direct experience, a kind of deep inner realization. It's about seeing the world without being driven by cravings and attachments. And the Buddha himself had just gone through this immense struggle against those very forces. He knew exactly how powerful they were.
Precisely. Yeah. So his hesitation wasn't, lack of compassion. It seems more like a very clear-eyed, realistic assessment of the situation. He looked at the world and saw it as steeped in dust. That's the phrase used, meaning people were just so caught up in greed, hatred, delusion. He genuinely wondered if the message could even land, or if it would just be ignored or maybe even rejected outright.
Okay, so you have this incredibly profound, subtle teaching and a world mostly unprepared for it. How did he think about that gap? Was there this idea that maybe it was only for, the wise, as some texts suggest?
That's a really important aspect. If you think about it, the average mind, let's say, is constantly busy trying to get things, hold on to things, worrying, suffering, basically. But the Dhamma is all about letting go. It's a complete reversal.
Yeah, especially that idea of anatta, not self. If you're deeply invested in your identity, your ego.
Exactly. Hearing there's no permanent self could be absolutely terrifying for someone, or they might just dismiss it as, well, nonsense. It completely undermines that egocentric view.
And nirvana, too. This state completely beyond conditions, beyond birth and death. How do you even begin to explain that to people whose entire focus is on the conditioned world, on what they can see and touch?
It's a huge challenge. It's almost like trying to offer life-saving medicine to someone who's convinced they're perfectly healthy. He saw beings just stuck in these deep grooves, these habitual patterns of greed, aversion, delusion. How do you present such a liberating but radical truth to minds like that? They might not even see the need for it.
Right. It really sounds like he was at a crossroads facing this immense difficulty. But then the story takes a turn, doesn't it? There's this intervention. Our sources talk about Brahma Sahampati, a high-ranking deity, stepping in. What happened there? What changed the Buddha's mind?
Yes, this is absolutely pivotal. Brahma Sahampati, who being a high deity, actually did understand the depth of the Dhamma. And he also saw the suffering across all the different realms of existence. He saw beings struggling. So he appeared before the Buddha and essentially begged him to teach. It wasn't just a simple request. It was framed as a matter of cosmic importance, appealing directly to the Buddha's compassion. Brahma argued that, yes, many were lost, but not everyone.
And there's that incredibly powerful line attributed to Brahma, isn't there? Something like, let the Blessed One teach the Dhamma. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who are wasting away through not hearing the Dhamma. They will be Dhamma knowers. That phrase, little dust in their eyes, feels so significant.
It's absolutely crucial. It acknowledges the reality. The Buddha saw the dust, the defilements, but it offers a counterpoint. It says humanity, or sentient beings generally, aren't all the same. While many might be blinded, there are always some whose spiritual faculties are more developed, who are closer to understanding, who are, ready. Brahma's plea highlighted that potential. It suggested that even if many couldn't grasp it, there were those who could, and they needed to hear it.
So that was the catalyst then, the moment he shifted from this deep contemplation and doubt to a firm resolve.
It seems that combination, Brahma's powerful plea affirming the potential, resonating with the Buddha's own innate, boundless compassion, his karu, that's what tipped the scales. The hesitation seemed to dissolve, replaced by this deep commitment to guide those who could be guided. He made a kind of distinction, perhaps. Not everyone was hopelessly lost. Some just needed the path pointed out to them. They needed the right approach.
So it wasn't just about whether to teach, but maybe also how. Realizing that this profound Dhamma could perhaps be adapted, tailored for different people, using skillful means and gentle persuasion, as some texts put it, leading people gradually.
Exactly. It wasn't necessarily about dumping the entire overwhelming truth on everyone at once. It was about finding ways to communicate it effectively, meeting people where they were. He realized that even if only a relative few achieved full liberation, the act of offering the path was itself a profound act of compassion, a moral necessity. So his focus shifted, you could say, from the immense personal achievement of enlightenment to the universal mission of sharing it. And that really kicked off his incredible 45-year teaching career.
Wow. So when we look back at this whole episode, this hesitation, it tells us so much. It speaks to the sheer depth of what the Buddha realized, for sure, but also the very real challenges of communicating something truly transformative. And ultimately, it seems, the power of compassion to overcome even the most profound doubts.
It really does. And maybe the final thought for you, listening, is prompted by the Buddha's initial reluctance. It forces us to confront how resistant we can be to truths that challenge our basic assumptions about ourselves and the world. It kind of invites us to ask, what dust might still be in our own eyes? What ingrained views or attachments might be preventing us from seeing deeper realities or even just learning something new and challenging in our own lives? Makes you think, doesn't it?